Hi guys, it's Damaris again, and this is part 2 of a 3-part video showing you how I colored Saturated Canary's sweater socks fairy. And in part 1 I showed you how I colored her skin and also her dress. And in this part we'll be coloring the wings and the socks, and on the screen you could see the markers I used. So I'm getting myself situated here, and I'm starting off with Y30. Excuse me, YR30. YR30. And starting off with the wings, I'm just going along with the outline of the image and kind of giving myself um, a guideline on where I want my deepest color. And like I said in part 1, I like to, I'm sorry if you hear any background noise, that's my husband. But I like to start out with coloring the parts that will later on become the darkest and leaving everything else white because that would get filled in later on. So I'm just going along the outline of the wings. The wings are perfect, and I went around it with YR30. Now I'm going in with Y21, buttercup yellow, and this color combo for the wings, I kind of just tested out on some scratch paper. I didn't have a set combo, and I just pulled out lots of Y's and Y's R's and kind of just figured out my own, likeness for a gold wing. I wanted a gold wing, and so these are the colors that I used. And I'm going around the outline of the wing again, the same exact way that I used with the YR30. Brought back that YR30, and I'm blending the two colors together, kind of bringing a little bit more into the white space. And at this point now, I'm going in with Y26, and that's a huge jump from Y21 to Y26. But all the colors in between that weren't really working with what I wanted this to look like in the end. So I skipped all that and I went straight to, you know, the shade I was looking for. I wanted something goldish and bronzy and really deep and rich. Because usually fairy wings are very light, but I wanted hers to be rich and like very vibrant and the color just to stand out. So I went with a deep gold here. This color is called mustard. And again, the same thing going around the outline of the wings. And there are a few spots you'll see if you kind of look close to the screen, you'll see that I went outside the lines a little bit. But that's okay because you could just use your blender pen to kind of push that color back into the wing. So going along that outline, and I could have started with this color, the Y26, but I wouldn't have achieved that golden glow that you're kind of getting to see now with the YR30 and the Y21 underneath it. I wouldn't have achieved that. So that's why I started out with those two first, and then I went on to the Y26. And this is basically blending this out, blending them together. I can't tell which color I'm using here. I'm gonna assume it's Y21, and now this is YR30 again. So as you can see, you're getting a golden yellow color. And now I'm going in with my darkest, which is the Y28. And once I've finished, which you'll see later, with the Y28, I still wasn't convinced of it being dark enough. So I go in later on a little darker than the Y28, which I kind of picked out at the last minute because I hadn't picked it out. So I'm just going around the edges of her wings again, trying my hardest not to get out of the lines because um, the little swirls are pretty thin. Now I'm going back in and I'm going and I'm adding texture. And I'm using my Y21 to add texture just to kind of give myself an idea of where I wanted the dots to go. And then I went in again with the Y26 and I went over the same dots to darken it and give that contrast against the yellow, the light yellow. It's it's giving the appearance that there's a texture on those wings. Blending all that out to make it look faded, the dots, with that YR30. Going back in with Y28. And at this point, you could see the pause in the video where I'm like testing colors. And I was basically looking for that even darker color that would help me make everything look more rich. And what I pulled out was E87. There it is in the video. It's called Fig E87. And it's a brown, it's an earth tone, but it has like a gold undertone to it. And it was the perfect shade of brown that matched with my Y family that I was using here. And it just had like a coppery gold feel to it. So I used that E87. And I'm just going along where I did my Y28. I'm going over that with the E87 here. And again, trying not to get out of those lines. I apologize that the image is kind of upside down. This is new recording for me, so I'm trying to get into what works best. So, you know, every so often I bring the image back to its starting point. But I kind of have to turn it while I color. Right now I'm using a gold Spica pen, and you probably can't catch it on the video, but up close you can tell that there's like little gold flakes. It's like a gel kind of pen, and it adds a little shimmer. You could pause it right here. You could see that little shimmer to the wing. And now I'm starting on her socks. In the original image that I colored, which was my practice image, and if you follow my Instagram, you would have seen the original image I colored. Her socks were the same color of her dress, and then the wings were like a deep burgundy slash blue slash violet purple. And I was just playing around with it. It wasn't anything set in stone. And I received a comment from one of my followers on Instagram saying that because I asked the question, what color should the wings be? But after I asked, I went ahead and I just colored what I wanted. And she posed a comment. She posted a comment and she said gold. And I thought, wow, I didn't think of that. So I decided I would color it in again and use gold, and that's why she has gold wings. So, and it came out really nice with gold. The colors are really rich. The same concept with the socks. If you've been watching, I started out with YR30, and since the light source is coming from the right side, everything on the left, or everything that's in the center and the left, is being darkened. I went in with YR30, Y21, Y26, and I think this is Y28 now. And just using the same lines that the artist has drawn in for you, just follow the lines. And every so often, you could also make your own little crease in her socks and create your own texture and your own shadowing. This is now, this looks like Y26 now, and I'm making everything a little darker because I have to match those wings as much as I can and not just leave it yellow. It's funny because when my husband first saw this image, he thought that the socks looked like boots. So I'm like, well, I guess, they can look like boots if you color them a certain way, maybe. So now I'm adding some color to the back of her sock. And if you notice, there's some strands that are hanging from her dress. I go in later on and I color those in because I totally just didn't see those when I was coloring her dress in the first video. So I'm making even more darkness, and pretty soon the socks will be complete, and pretty soon you'll get to see the image straight in the screen. Here we go, right here. And that's it. So stay tuned for part 3 where I do her hair. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.